Welcome to Dyno-Pod, the Dyno-Rod podcast, where each episode we meet people from within the Dyno-Rod team and within the broader franchising industry. And on today's episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Pip Wilkins. Welcome to the show, Pip.
Thank you very much for having me. Really looking forward to having a chat.
Yes, me too. So, without further ado, let's get into that chat. So, Pip Wilkins, British Franchise Association. So, before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself outside of work. What's life like for Pip Wilkins outside of the British Franchise Association?
It's a good question. Nobody ever asked me that. They always ask me about the BFA. I live in Devon. I was born and bred down here. Did a stint living kind of in and around the Thames Valley, but relocated back just before the pandemic. I live with my partner. I like to work hard, play hard. So I'm a very social person. And yeah, just enjoy. I'm live right by the coast, so enjoy time on the beach, spending time with family and friends. I have three nephews who are not so small anymore. They're now taller than me, with facial hair and everything. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much me.
Yeah, indeed. And a little birdie told me you do have a bit of a footballing passion. So would you care to share with our listeners your passion for football and maybe which team it is?
I'm not so sure I should do that right now. So I am an avid Chelsea fan, and have been since I was about 7 or 8 years old. My we were doing the sticker albums as you did, back in the day. And my mum asked us what teams we wanted to support, and I said I wanted to support Chelsea because I like Chelsea buns and I liked blue. And I've stuck with it since. So as you know, I celebrated my 25 years at the BFA, and I got this awesome Zola shirt from the industry to say thank you. So it is taking pride of place alongside the one that I bought myself, which is a John Terry one. So yeah, big football fan. Don't get to go as much. It's very expensive, as most people know, to go and
Yeah.
watch football. But yeah, always watching it on TV. So
Yeah. Plenty to keep you occupied on TV, absolutely. And yeah, we'll move quickly on because Chelsea are not having the best season this year, but
no, they're not. It's not as bad as last year, though.
maybe next year. Maybe next year. Excellent. Okay. So British Franchise Association. I guess our listeners are thinking British Franchise Association, right? Dyno-Rod are a franchise organization. We are part of the British Franchise Association. So Pip, what is the British Franchise Association?
So we are a not-for-profit trade association. And we are the self-regulatory body for UK franchising. So we were established nearly 50 years ago, so back in 1977, basically by a small group of franchisors that got together because they wanted to differentiate themselves to show what best practice looks like. So we are all about promoting, protecting, and educating the franchise community. Our goal is to lead the change or lead the charge and influence positive change in UK franchising. We have strong foundations at our heart. So standards is basically the framework of the BFA. It's what we're all about. We are governed by a European Code of Ethics. We have a board of directors. And that board drive forward the overall strategy. But our goal is to do what is right for the industry as a whole. So making sure that we have access to the right education at the right time for brands either looking to enter the UK, for franchisees that are looking to invest. So we give them help with sort of due diligence and guidance. But our principal goal is all about how we help our members be better than they were yesterday, basically.
Yeah, that's a great summary, and I think the sort of the being better than you were yesterday is definitely something that resonates with me in terms of the level of sessions you guys put on that is just generating that education and making people think about what you do today. Can you learn from others, and could you be doing something slightly different tomorrow, whether it's in the recruitment space or the supporting space, just making you constantly keeping us on our toes, I would say, in terms of just thinking differently, but working together as one big unit. So
Yeah, and the education that we have is it's about franchisors sharing best practice, isn't it? So I think the key thing that we do is really bring the community together. So we have everything from, as you know, low cost events to huge, national conferences and things. But it's about franchisors sharing that know-how and best practice, them talking about the wins and losses so that other franchisors can learn. And I don't think there are very many communities outside of franchising that do it quite like we do. You will get competitors in the same room that are
Yeah.
happy to chat and just really talk about what it looks like for them.
Yeah, and I think that just plays to the whole ethos of franchising that it is one big community and it's all about people. And like you say, regardless of whether you're in the same sector and competition, you just how things go in. And yeah, it's quite unique in that respect, I would say. It's very, very
Yeah.
unique. Um, yeah, so the BFA, how long have you been at the BFA, Pip?
I celebrated 25 years last year. So I started when I was 19, straight from kindergarten, really, it feels like. But yeah, it was my first kind of real job. I did some lifeguarding and stuff before, but for me, it became my career, and it was purely by accident. I think most people that come into franchising, a lot of them do it because they find it, they fall in love with it, and it's particularly at franchisor level. We see, people move from brand to brand, but, owners and founders that have been grown up with them, they've been with their brands for as long as I've been with the BFA.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, and so started at a tender age. And what is your role currently in the BFA?
So I'm the CEO now, which is a role I've had for about 9 years. So yeah, I mean, once I took the role as the CEO, for me, it was all about elevating change, modernizing the association. You will know, we've been doing the same things a lot for a long time. So, in the last few years, we've rebranded to really kind of modernize the association, and try and make it more inclusive. So we've brought in lifestyle bandings of membership, and really expanded our membership base to be an inclusive and diverse association.
Wow. And I guess from starting at the young tender age, what was your first role? I got to ask now, what's your first role? Because you've gone from the
I was
start to
I
the
was
very top. So
my title was Business Services Assistant. And in a nutshell, to start off with, I made lots of coffee and stuffed loads of envelopes because back then the internet didn't exist in quite the way it does today.
yeah.
So when someone was interested in finding about franchising, we had these monster packs. So we used to like have pigeonholes, take all of the stuff out, stuff them in the envelopes and send them off. And then people could buy these guides to research franchising. So that was
Wow.
predominantly it. And then it was kind of getting more involved with our members. So event management, and then looking at spending time with members. So, we were getting people join the association. They were sort of finding us either through packs and stuff that we'd sent out. But geographically, the UK is quite small, so you can drive around and visit prospects and members, and that's one of the things that I was quite keen to introduce. So we got that going. So that was my role for a bit. Client services, so spending time with our member brands and talking to prospects about joining the association. Then I went into an operations role, then head of operations, and then CEO. But I've
Wow.
done most of the roles in the association. I wouldn't say that I'm, a dab hand on the marketing front, but I'm a big believer in building a team with people that are better than you at the things that they're good at. So, yeah, we've got a really strong team now that covers everything from marketing, on the road member relations. We've got standards.
Yeah.
We've got digital marketing now, so obviously that's an upcoming thing with tech, and then obviously finance, HR, all of that wonderful stuff, and PR.
Yeah. No, no, it's a really great personal journey. And I think some people out there sometimes think, I wonder if I could ever become a CEO or a director. And so many people do it, but I think people see them at the end of their journey, but forget that that journey has to start somewhere. You didn't just start at as a CEO. You've worked your way through that organization. So yeah, impressive journey, and it's one I've heard a lot of on my podcast as well. So engineers gone from being a plumber to owning their own multi-million-pound franchise. So it can be done. It's just patience is a virtue sometimes, and just going through that journey and challenging yourself and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, which takes a lot to push you
Absolutely.
come can I actually do that job? And actually, when you get in the seat, it's like, actually, I'm enjoying this. So yeah, so superb. So what do you love about the BFA and your job? What gets you up in the morning?
People, for me, the thing that I loved about franchising, and it wasn't a career I set out to do. It was like I said before, something that I kind of came across and fell in love with the concept. It takes people from any walk of life. You don't have to have experience to invest in a franchise because you're going to get the training and support. So you see how franchising changes people's lives. No 2 days are the same for me. Yesterday I was looking at our empowering women in business agenda. Today I'm on a podcast with you. Tomorrow I'm on an international call talking to the Irish Franchise Association about their development. So for me, no two days are the same. And you get to help people. And that's kind of aligns with my personal values. Being able to support people and help them grow is something that I'm really passionate about. So it just ties back in to what I do from a work perspective.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think the what came through there is definitely the people, which is what franchising is all about, and the variety. No day is the same, which I think that also helps to that enjoyment because one day you could be having a really intense conversation, and then today you're on a podcast with me, so that's completely different, right?
Exactly.
So, uh, okay, right. We've got to learn a fair bit about Pip and Pip's journey, and a Chelsea fan, and lives down in Devon. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the role and the job, etc., as they call it. So, I guess from my perspective, obviously, being a franchise or of as Dyno-Rod, we were one of the founder members, I believe. So we
Were
were there
indeed.
from the start. And I guess, how have you seen the BFA and the industry evolve in your time over the 25 years?
Wow, that's a big question. Really big question, Lee. In lots of ways. So I think, when I first started in franchising, it was very heavily male dominated. And I think we've seen a more balanced gender distribution in franchising, particularly in the last 5 to 10 years. We've seen franchising growth. So if you look at the statistics and stuff, we do a national survey, and I don't think people realize quite how big we are as a sector. So the industry's contribution to the economy has seen growth year on year since we started the research, and we're now sitting at a 19 billion pound contribution to the UK economy, which works out about 1% of UK's GDP. We've seen franchising growth from franchise units and franchisees. We've seen franchisors grow. We've seen a lot more international expansion. But I think the key thing is the way in which people buy into franchising now. I think back in the day it was what can I do and how much money will I make? And now I think franchisees selection processes very much come down to people and their own individual values. What does this franchisor do from a sustainability perspective? What are the people like? Do the goals and the vision and the values of that business align with me personally?
Yeah.
So I think now people are making decisions more based around um, the brand and what it can do for the greater good rather than just how much money can I earn.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the diversity has become a real thing. And I think, when we did the survey, there was a lot of research in terms of brands taking a more proactive approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion in their businesses. It's tech has hugely changed, and particularly after the pandemic. So, you used to have franchisors that, you have to come and see me in my office before we'll invest in a franchise, and now some of them are doing everything online. It's a very online, streamlined process. Some have moved back to a more hybrid approach. But yeah, I think just the introduction of new tech is massively changing, and you guys are doing stuff with AI, so
Yeah.
you will know it's going to be something that just keeps growing, and we're tackling that at our conference later this year.
Ah, excellent. And I guess from a franchise sort of variety, and when I use the word variety, I mean obviously Dyno-Rod is plumbing and drains. You've got McDonald's, but the variety of our franchising community is just must be a lot. There must be a lot more variety now than what there was 20 years ago. I might be assuming wrong, but you may tell me
And
otherwise.
I wish I'd looked at the stats before the call, but yeah, we're at 1,009 franchise systems in the UK market. It falls across six kind of core sectors, so everything from hotel and catering, personal services, so that's everything domiciliary care. It's children's activity franchises. You've got commercial and domestic cleaning. You've got pet walking,
Yeah,
boarding, grooming, beauty therapy. We saw a huge growth in the gym sector a few years ago. But yeah, I think people don't realize franchising touches your everyday life. You can use franchising without even knowing it. A lot of people wouldn't know that, Dyno-Rod are a franchise, and they're the people that clean your drains when it all goes horribly
yeah,
wrong. So
yeah, indeed.
it is literally everywhere. And when you're in it, you're that really sad person that drives down the motorway with your mates, and I go, oh, it's a franchise. When a van drives past, or you walk past a shop on the high street, or you see somebody that's parked outside someone's house because they've gone in to clean their oven. So yeah, my friends get really annoyed because the phrase goes, guess what? And they go, what? And I go, it's a franchise.
Yeah, indeed. It this may sound really weird, but I think I've been in franchising in the last 5 years, and I get on my wife's nerves now because I go, well, "That's a franchise model." She went, "How do you know that?" I said, "It is. Trust me." And she
Yeah.
went, "I don't believe you." I said, "Right, okay." And then I go on the BFA website and go, she went, "Oh yeah, wow! I didn't think that was a franchise." It is really strange. It's like when you buy a new car, isn't it? You think you got the only car and you're the only franchise, and then suddenly you see that car driving everywhere, and everything's a franchise. And like you say, it does
Mhm.
touch you in so many different ways. It's just you don't realize it until you're actually in the industry itself. It's quite addictive, I would say.
Yeah, and the key thing for us is education, isn't it? We now know because we're in it. How
Yeah,
do we get more people to understand it? So we did I think it was years ago, a consumer kind of preference survey, and we stood on the high street with an A5 laminated sheet with logos of all of our different members, and we said, which of these do you think are franchised? And people would pull out the obvious, your Costas, your Domino's, your McDonald's, the stuff on the high street. What they were missing was all of the other brands that sat, underneath it that are in sectors that aren't necessarily on the high street. And when we said to them, all of them are, these are all franchise brands, they were really shocked. But, for us, we know that people would rather buy from a franchise as opposed to a non-franchise when they understand that that franchisee is a local business person.
yeah,
Yes, they have the backup and support, they have the common brand element, which is an advantage to them. But for the local person, they're still, we need to encourage them shop local because a franchise is still a local business person and they do far more in their local community, I think, than people give them credit for.
yeah, indeed. Yeah, I agree. Um, so I guess we've talked about the evolution and the variety and the diversity and how it touches everybody's lives. I guess from your personal opinion, maybe not BFA, or you can do both. It's entirely up to you. What do you think the future looks like for the franchising world slash industry?
I think it's really positive, and it is promising. And, with new tech, sustainability and, emerging brands that we see coming in, I think they're all paving the way for growth. We know that consumer demand is always going to evolve, but franchises can adapt to the changing expectations. And they will then invest in innovation to make sure they're successful in years to come. For prospective franchisees looking to buy in, there is going to be always new and diverse opportunities to explore with, greater focus long term on flexibility. There's been changes in brands wanting to, really support what we say, when you're looking to invest in a franchise is, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So it gives them that added protection when they're looking to invest. Our churn rates in comparison to startups outside of franchising, they are worlds apart, night and day.
Yeah.
Our commercial failure rate is been less than 5% for more than 20 years. But when you look at a startup outside of franchising, 45%, I think it was a stat I was looking at the other day, will fail within their first 5 years. So for me, we've seen franchising go through the toughest of times, the global pandemic, obviously being the most recent one. But, even in economic downturns, franchising digs deep. Franchisor and franchisee come together and drive forward. We are seeing different brands impacted by the recent government changes, for national insurance contributions and things. We've done some research internally that we're just finalising the information on to be able to circulate. But I think that it's still broadly positive. We're seeing franchisors from a recruitment perspective, the continued interest.
Yeah.
But I think, franchising will always continue to grow because there are people that want to run their own business, but they want to do it with that added protection. So I think it's a positive outlook.
Yeah. No, I agree. Having been in it for a short period of time, and amount of conversations, the great conversations I have with prospective people who are looking for that investment in franchising, and just picking the right opportunity for them ultimately. And it is very much it's a considered investment and considered purchase, because it has to work for the individual and it has to work for franchisor, and you have to be clear on what you're what you're signing up for, really. It is going to be part and parcel of your life, but it'll be a great part and parcel of your life for the next 5 or 10 years, depending on the agreement and the franchisor that you're working with. So no, okay, excellent. So I guess in a couple of phrases, why should anyone consider becoming a franchisee?
Because you've got the support and protection of the franchisor. At the end of the day, franchising is about common brands, proven business systems, with support and training wrapped up with a franchise agreement. The brand can help somebody start off quicker. Having that already instant brand recognition when you invest in a franchise will help with the build of customers when you get started. You get all of the training and support that you need, but most importantly, access to the community. So that you're not the first person to do it generally, unless you're buying a very, very new franchise. When you look at different franchise businesses, you will always know that someone's been there and done it before you. They've walked in your shoes. It's a template to be successful if you follow the business system that's laid out.
Yeah,
We look obviously when brands join the association at making sure that it's can't say it, replicable. That the franchisor has proven that concept, that the figures that they are portraying to potential franchisees are accurate, and they're based on real life experience. So if a franchisee comes in, they've got I believe, added security that the franchisor is there to support them. You said it yourself a few minutes ago. It's about that mutual relationship, but the franchisor will only be successful if the franchisee is successful. So it's in the franchisor's best interest to ensure that they support the franchisees effectively to success.
yeah. No, I think it's a
You know,
fantastic summary. Um,
when you chuck in our failure rates, like I said a minute ago, they are very low.
yeah,
Franchisors won't just take anybody that's got the money and wants to buy in. You're looking as franchisors at the right fit, as well as the franchisee finding the right fit as well.
yeah. So I guess flipping from franchisee, why people should consider, to franchisor, in your opinion, what makes a great franchisor?
Someone that has proven the concept, and from our perspective, taking the right advice. We see a lot of brands come into franchising where they've tried to franchise a business themselves. It is a unique business model. The one of the most important documents is the franchise agreement. So making sure that franchise agreement is balanced. It's a comprehensive document. It's got to be fair, but the franchisor needs to have proven the concept and done it the right way, know that it's going to be profitable for both parties, and taken the advice to really structure out how their fee structure works. Advice on the operations manual. It's the Bible, it's the document that's going to teach someone how to do it, and that does need to be a very structured and comprehensive document that works. So yeah, I think, from our perspective, we see what happens when things go wrong as well as right. So yeah, to take the right advice. But franchising is a great way to expand a business, in essence, using other people's money. You can scale up faster in a franchise system than you could in opening your own company stores and putting managers in. But most importantly, you get a committed individual. You get somebody that's as bought into the brand and the success of the brand as you are. They're not paid a salary. This is their livelihood, and they want to build a business that they can sell on. So you've got a more committed individual.
Yeah, indeed. No, that's really good advice and good views from what makes a great franchisor. I guess from a BFA point of view, British Franchise Association, here's your opportunity, Pip. What advice would you give to any prospective franchisors considering joining the BFA, and what could they expect?
So if someone's looking to join the BFA, we do put you through a compliance process. Our principal goal is to make sure that the brands that we lend our brand to are viable and ethical and disclosed. So it's when you're building your business, think of the BFA as your end goal. Look at it and say, okay, I want to structure a business that's going to meet their standards. So that is about selecting the right franchise consultants that are BFA accredited, selecting BFA lawyers because they know and understand franchising. You can't get someone that has done your divorce or conveyancing to write your franchise agreement. They don't understand it. So you need proper specialists. From our perspective, we will then look at the business to see whether, from our perspective, it's viable, franchisable, ethical, and disclosed. So we are going to look at your franchise agreement. We're going to look at your finances, and we're going to look at how happy your franchisees are. Are your franchisees, bought into the leadership and culture of the business? Are they getting supported? Are they happy with the training that you're offering them? So it's really setting up, I think, to be the best that you can be. If you want to join the association, we will work with you. It's not a computer says yes or no.
Yeah,
We have human people that understand businesses and have done 50, 60 applications a year for
yeah,
franchisors. So we don't just say, no, you don't meet our standards. No, thank you. We would say, look, let's work together to get you where you need to be. Our goal is to represent 50% of franchisors within 5 years. We represent just over a third at the moment. There are some brands that don't feel like they should belong to the association, but the benefits that we give back are vast. And actually, one of the main reasons a franchisor should join the BFA is because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for the industry as a whole, so that we have a bigger voice speaking with unison on any subjects that we need. So when we want to protect against legislation coming into the UK market, that at the end of the day will make it expensive for franchisors and franchisees. So it's our ultimate goal not to have regulation, and we want to effectively self-regulate as an association and as an industry. So all franchisors should do it because it's the right thing to do. Once you're in, you get an array of benefits, as you know. So we have representation, which we've touched on. There is the educational and training elements. We have our own qualified franchise professional for individuals. We run regular specialist seminars on everything from legal issues in franchising to growth strategies to renewals and resales. We have franchisee membership that is free for your franchisees if you are a member. So as a franchisor, when you join, your franchisees can tap into a portfolio of business benefits for them. We do loads of marketing and PR opportunities. We're featured in our magazine. I'll come on your podcast. There's loads
yeah,
of different stuff. Our conferences and exhibitions, but being part of that community, that place where we provide the platform to get franchisors together to share know-how and best practice is the key benefit to your business. It's irreplaceable, and it's the one thing, that really helps brands with their ongoing growth and development.
Yeah. No, and I would echo particularly the last. I echo everything you've just said, but particularly the last point about the exhibitions and the coming together with other franchisors, because sometimes you can
Mm.
just sit here and think, "Oh, I can't see the wood through the trees on this particular subject or this particular challenge or this particular growth strategy," and then suddenly you go and have a conversation with another bunch of franchisors, and it's like, yeah, if you do this, this, and this, because we went on that journey or we're about to embark on that journey, and it is a great way of just, right, excellent. That's perfect timing of just having a get together as a bunch of franchisors, and you do learn so much. It's constantly learning for me, and I think many others. Um, we talked about technology. I'm going to come back to that one in a second, but what makes a successful franchise business?
What makes a successful franchise business? That's a good question. So, from a franchisor perspective, the thing that makes them successful is working in collaboration with their franchisees. At the end of the day, we always say to a potential franchisee, you wouldn't get married on the first date, would you? So, it is very much, this is a long time partnership between two parties. So, ensuring that you recruit the right franchisees is absolutely critical. Um, from a franchisee perspective, ensuring that you pick the right franchisor is key. Don't buy a franchise in something that you don't enjoy and you don't love. You asked me right at the beginning what gets you out of bed and makes you want to go to work.
Yeah,
If you're looking at a franchise business that isn't going to float your boat and make you passionate and driven to want to succeed, you're going to struggle as a franchisee. And we've seen people buy into stuff where they haven't done due diligence. The great thing about franchising is I always say this, it's a touchable, feelable, pokeable thing. You can go out and do research on what I'm going to do every day. You can probably go on a van ride or spend a day with a franchisee in their office or their shop, or even, doing a class if they do, like, classes for kids. So
yeah,
you can see what your role is going to be like as a franchisee. And I think the franchisor ensuring that they find the right people and guide franchisees through that due diligence journey is what makes franchising successful.
yeah,
It's making sure, you don't want to buy a franchise with somebody that you wouldn't want to spend time with. If you were going to be my franchisor, we'd have a good relationship. We might go to the pub and have a beer. But
yeah,
it's got to be someone that you're comfortable picking up the phone to. And I think from a franchisor's perspective, it works the same way. You need franchisees that are committed to your ultimate goal, to your brand vision, to your mission, to your values. If you don't have people that are aligned to the greater good, I think you're going to struggle with them. So, from a franchisor perspective, the key thing that they need to get right is franchisee selection, and ensuring that they have the right levels of training and support for those people once they're on board.
yeah. No, great, great. Great summary there. I'm going to come back to technology because technology, you said it earlier when you were putting things in pigeonholes. Only certain people will remember pigeonholes. That was way before technology. So we've all lived a technology evolution, but I guess from a franchising perspective, has technology changed the way the franchise model works?
Yeah, 100%. Franchisors, there is a particular franchisor, and he'll be listening to this and he'll know what I mean. He says, franchisors and businesses shouldn't make decisions without data. Making data-driven decisions is really important. So being able to access that data is key in an easy, quick and succinct way. So, the introduction of really strong kind of CRM systems and automation, when it comes to the franchise recruitment process,
Yeah,
didn't exist, 10 years ago. But, you know, finance packages that support franchisees and franchisors, apps to make it easier for a franchisee when they're out, particularly as a mobile franchise, to access information in real time, to invoice their customers. People pay by card now; it's not cash. There's loads of different things that we've seen changed. But the exciting thing is where it's going. I had a briefing call with a speaker just last week, and they were talking to me about AI going into robots, and robots back in the day weren't very mobile, were they? They were kind of,
Yeah.
now they can walk and stuff, and
Yeah.
you see them like driving down the street where they're going off to deliver a pizza in this like funny little remote controlled
Yeah.
car thing. It's not
Yeah.
even a car, it's like a cart.
Yeah.
It absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah.
So technology will continue to evolve and franchisors can never stand still. Part of the reason you buy into a franchise is that your franchisor has that research and development function, looked after for you.
Yes.
So it's a benefit from a franchisee perspective. Staying ahead of tech is really hard. And one of our roles is to ensure that we're trying to stay ahead of tech and tell our members about what's up and coming. I don't think some things will work, but there's loads of stuff coming to market. And
Yeah.
as someone that isn't massively technical, getting your head around it, I've always been an Apple fiend. And I think, staying with the latest technology is
Yeah.
something that franchisors need to do, but you can't operate a business anymore without tech. Even Google Drives in the cloud and stuff for newer
Yeah.
franchisors is how they handle a lot of their data. But operations manuals have gone online, huge intranet systems exists. Video is so important now in engaging potential franchisees. They want to see the people behind the business. Everyone wants instant information
Yeah.
in bite-sized chunks. It's really hard, when you're looking at doing little videos for Insta and TikTok and stuff. You need to make sure you're doing it in something like, I don't know, 3.2 nanoseconds so that they
Yeah.
don't click off of you.
Yeah.
It's so yeah, I think tech will continue to evolve and will continue to change the way that franchisors do business.
Yeah, and yeah, it will evolve, and AI is the big one, and it's embrace it, potentially proceed with caution. But if you think about, I guess from my perspective, the tech world now, the younger generation of today, they are literally born with a phone in their hand, right? Not far
Yep.
off, and they just live and breathe tech. So organizations need to get in that tech mindset because they're going to be your future employees and if you're they'll be looking for a business that is very tech orientated, not living in
Tech
pigeonholes.
savvy.
Yeah,
Yeah, some of it blows my mind, but it's amazing, and I like playing with the new gadgets. So
yeah, indeed. So no, no, excellent, Pip. That's been fantastic. Thanks, Pip, for being our guest today.
thank you very much for having me. It was fab to spend some time with you today.
It was excellent. And to you at home, thanks for joining me on Dyno-Pod, and I'll see you soon for more.